What's up, people? Welcome back to Internash. I'm sure you would have heard the recent news where Australian Prime Minister mentioned that Australian borders will reopen after 18 months and the travel ban will be lifted for Australian citizens and permanent residents. This is a great news, but primarily for Australian citizens and permanent residents. In this video, we are going to look at this news in detail. We are going to discuss what this news means for international students and temporary residents who want to come back to Australia. What are the vaccines that are approved by TGA? What are the vaccination rates in different states? And at the end, we are going to discuss when will international students and other visa holders will be able to come back to Australia. So if you want to know answers to these questions, then this video is just for you. So check it out. Now don't get me wrong, I do not think that this is a bad news or even not good news for international students who are stuck abroad. I think this is a great news, and the reason is that every time this issue came up before, the argument was that because Australian residents and citizens are stuck abroad, that's why they need to come to Australia first, and then we can think about the people who are on visa. Now that cap has been lifted, as many Australians who want to come back to Australia can come back to Australia, and that's why international students or people on the visa will be on a priority list. That's why this is a good news. But if you're one of those people who think that all the international students are going to come back to Australia in November next month, that is not going to happen. Here's what the Prime Minister of Australia said in the press conference.
It will be time very soon that we will be able to open those international borders again, and that will enable Australians who are fully vaccinated and Australians and residents of Australia who are overseas, who are fully vaccinated, to be able to travel again and to be able to lift those caps on our airports in states where they have moved into phase C of the program. And that is where Australia is now preparing to move. This will happen next month.
Now, as you heard in the video, there are two things that are really important. Number one, returning travelers has to be vaccinated, and that vaccine has to be approved by the TGA and Australian government. Now, which are these vaccines that are approved by the Australian government? Initially, there were 4 vaccines that were approved by the Australian government: Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, and Moderna. Now, very recently, China's Sinovac and India's Covishield has also been approved by the Australian government, which is a really good news because 2 of the top countries from which international students come to Australia are China and India. And the second most important thing was that the state needs to reach 80% double vaccination. Here is a screenshot. You can look at the screenshot, pause this video and see the state you are interested in. When will they reach 80% vaccination? Now, before I show you the clip, what the Prime Minister had to say, when will travelers and those people on visa will be able to return to Australia, I want you guys to write in the comment section, when do you think international students will be able to return to Australia? If you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. And if you haven't liked this video, like this video so that we can reach more and more people. Moving on to this clip.
And today the TGA has published its initial assessment of 2 other vaccines and has advised that these vaccines should be approved as recognised vaccines for the purpose of determining incoming international travellers. Those vaccines are Sinovac and Covishield. They will be particularly important for those coming from countries where those vaccines are being used. India is an obvious one of those, as is China and other countries throughout Southeast Asia. That will be important also when we move to the phase, which I believe will be occurring next year in some states, particularly in my discussions with New South Wales, where those students, skilled migrants, and perhaps sooner will be able to come into the country. and have those vaccines recognised as we move forward.
As you heard, it looks like that more and more international students will be able to come to Australia in the next year. This does not mean that New South Wales pilot program is not going to go ahead. That program is still going to go ahead. They are going to allow 250 students every fortnight. Here's what I think. I think that New South Wales pilot program is going to be really successful primarily because they have already reached 88% of first dose and over 60% of second dose, which means by the end of October they are expected to reach 70 or 80% of double dose vaccination. That is really good. After which they are going to allow more and more permanent residents and citizens and some international students in New South Wales. Looking at this, other states are also going to allow or start allowing international students in their state. And the reason why they would want to do this is because international education is the third largest export of Australia. Large portion of Australian economy is dependent on international education, and that is a fact. And that's why international education and international students are really important for Australian economy. And that's why we are hoping that by the early next year, more international students will be able to come into Australia, and by July, everything will be returned to normal. Again, this is my personal prediction, what I think looking at the trend. I want to know what do you guys think, so that write that in the comment section. If you love this video, then share this video with everybody you know. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. See you in the next video.